Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe, and a quick introduction that will serve for each and every one of these 10 segments that will really make up my top 100 personal top 100 films of all time. It is a huge overhaul. It is a revamp. It is a relook at the entire thing. And eventually at the end of this thing, I am going to do a Letterboxd version of this, which, hopefully will make the first Letterboxd one I did years ago look pale in comparison. So really, this is my top 100 personal 100 films, things that have influenced me from the earliest of my days. I was born in 70. Man, the decade of the 80s was, VHS video stores, the drive-in circuit, all of that stuff. And of recent, becoming a collector, 22 Shots of Moodz and Horror, podcasts, body bags, just all my influences, right? So this top 100, it is who I am at the moment. Not much of it's going to change, I think. The top 10 will be pretty well locked, I think. But it is who I am. Remember my age, my influences as they are. By decade, 1 or 2 decades, will take up the brunt of this list. You'll see, man. So travel with me as I take this thing on. Take it on. Let's start this thing. Hey guys, VHS82 apostrophe, aka Rob from Georgia. You know what this means. We're about to embark upon the last 2 segments. Top 20 films. Top 20 that have most influenced me. The greatest horror films ever, as far as I'm concerned. We are in that top 25. Now, it's time. If we haven't gotten real yet, it's really getting real. By the way, second weekend of July on Body Bags, MVD week. It's a label week. In fact, my son just got a little bit of mail. I think it's One Dark Night. I'll be doing Mortuary. These are all, of course, films from the MVD line. And it's going to be a great, great week. That's what we do over there, man. Second weekend, it's either a movie from a year, particular year, we all do, or a label. End of the month, it's label week. Theme week, I guess, I should say. Theme week. And great, great, great cast of characters over there, Body Bags. We all have our own unique angle on how we do things. And so if you've never checked it out, please do check it out, sub, and enjoy. All right, top 20, man. Number 20, you see it up there. I kind of gave it away already. Again, Dario Argento, man. I'm telling you, when I'm a kid, I was saying something this earlier on Facebook on a post. One of the things that irritate me just a little bit is anytime and every time, nearly, I think I hear somebody bring up the good old days, which are my good old days, and they're referring to the days of renting from video stores as a go-to starting point. The store always referenced, of course, is Blockbuster. I have nothing against Blockbuster, but I'm old enough to remember the mom and pop shops, the old VHS days, man. You had some special shops, man, and it was one of those stops, Movie World, where I first came into contact with this movie. This is such a great Fangoria issue, dealing with phenomena, aka creepers, is how I would have rented it. If you haven't gotten this issue, if it's even still in print, it may be. This is a great, wonderful Italian issue celebrating Dario Argento and some of those closest people around him, and this fantastic film, man. This is the Arrow release, man. This is has the boasted 116-minute cut of the film. And of course, if there's one thing I wish I could get someday, is the old VHS. Of course, it was known as Creepers, right? But the artwork was still pretty phenomenal. And I'm telling you, it was Movie World, man. I rented this stuff, man. I'd read about it in Fango. I'd grab it off the shelf when I'd see it. I'd go home, and it would always blow my freaking mind away. I don't care if it's Argento, Fulci, whoever it is, man. The word of Italian horror cinema, man, just blew my mind. I can't even tell you my reaction the first time I saw Suspira, of course, on my 25-inch console TV, right, in all of its letterboxed VHS glory. But anyways, phenomena, Creepers. What can you say, man? Claudio Simonetta, Goblin, of course. on. The score is fantastic. The movie, the locales, the cinematography, just absolutely fantastic. Donald Pleasance, man. It's always good to see him in a movie other than Loomis. Nothing against Loomis. I love Dr. Loomis, but I do love it when we can see him in another movie. And he plays a fantastic role in here as a, I can't even remember what you call it, an insect specialist, right? He helps the inspectors via the body parts that they find and how they have been basically mauled over by flies, a certain type of fly that will help a certain character find a certain killer. This has one of the great singular endings, man. The girl at the center of this movie, man, she gets so diabolical at the end, man. You got the inspector chained up to the wall. You've got our star girl in this swimming pool full of body parts, man, and she's just in a maniacal laugh. Just, man, it is one of the great endings of any movie, man. It is good stuff, man. This is good stuff. Phenomena Creepers made an indelible mark on me as a kid. One that came on later in my life, though, was a film by James Whale. And number 19. Oh, man, from 1932, The Old Dark House. I spoke to this earlier a little bit in another segment. I would love to do a podcast on this, where you know, as your starting point took The Old Dark House, and then you leapt off to, say, Spider Baby, and then you jumped from there to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 74, and then you jumped from there to, say, Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. I think that would be a blast of a podcast. It is the demented family, man. It all goes back to Whale's The Old Dark House. If you're unfamiliar with this film, man, you need not be. You ought to find some way, somehow, to get your hands on a copy of this. Kino, back in the old DVD days, put out a release of it as well. This is the Cohen release, and there's another one. I don't want to say I'm going to mess it up, but there is another release that came out after this release, I think. But this has a lot of great extras, commentaries and whatnot. But man, you just talk about the old style of, you know, our cast of characters. They sort of wash up on the shore of this house out in the middle of nowhere during the middle of a thunderstorm. Boris Karloff is in it, and you know, it's just, man, it's just a ride and a half, man. You can, when you get into that movie, you can really see where future filmmakers who would make a similar vibed movie, they had to have been influenced by this, man. This is like James Whale's The Old Dark House is the mother of all throwbacks to the diabolical, spooky family, man, that you just don't want to spend the night with. But this cast of characters do, and it's great, man. It is one of my all-time favorite black and white movies of all time, and maybe my favorite James Whale. I love The Invisible Man. But this is it, man. I think this is the cream of the crop for me, in particular, just me, right? I told you, man. I told you it's going to be tough going here. Number 18, let's bring Rob Zombie back into the mix one more time, which I think whether you're a zombie lover, hater, somewhere in between, which is hard to believe, I think most everyone can agree on one thing. The Devil's Rejects is one of the great throwbacks to grindhouse era cinema. The movies, you know, you would have saw at the drive-in back in the 70s, or, you know, yeah, more probably that. This is, man, to leap off House of a Thousand Corpses and create a sequel so good, and not just because he didn't copy his first movie, man. He shot it at 16 millimeter. It's got that grimy, sort of grainy feel, right, man? It's the cinematography is freaking awesome, man. The story that surrounds the Firefly clan is just, man, it's frightening as all can be, man. This is got to be the monumental achievement by Rob Zombie of all his filmography, is The Devil's Rejects. Hey, even Siskel and Ebert, they gave it a thumbs up, man. And when you get those guys giving a thumbs up, man, you got to at least stop and pause there for a minute. But The Devil's Rejects, man, first time I ever saw that movie, I think I rented it or something, and or maybe not rented it. Maybe I saw it on. I don't know how I saw it, but it just blew me away, man. In fact, me and Glenn did a black and white nice commentary on it, and I think it's one of our better ones. Let's see here, number 17. Here is a new one of late, Armando de Osorio's, perhaps one of his greatest films ever. The original, well, there's no remake, right? Well, you got Curse of the Blind Dead, but I don't know if that really serves as a remake. Tombs of the Blind Dead, man. The beginning of the Blind Dead saga, man. This movie, the end of this movie is so freaking good. The whole movie is great. You gotta hand it to him, man. And what is it, 72? 72. Franco's regime, well, as a result of his death, is going to be coming to an end, and it's going to free up Spanish filmmakers to really stretch out their elbows in a way they had not ever been under that regime, in terms of what they created and made. And he creates a creature, man, that is so unique and new, man. The Templar Knight, man. The Blind Dead. The whole, first one, second one, always sort of gets arguments of which one is better. Ghost Galleon probably gets the most hate for being the weakest entry. Seagulls, I love Seagulls. That is the fourth entry. I have them all. The Naschycast, so I think I first stumbled upon this. It might have been either Derek, who had his coffin set from Blue Underground, posted one of his, in the background of one of his videos, and I'm like, what is that? And then eventually I listened to the Naschycast pod on it, and there came a point where I realized I had to have the entire collection. However, I got it, and I think I got the first three on Blue Underground DVD release, and then I got the Seagulls on Scream Factory Blu-ray. But this is, man, I'm telling you, man, this is some really good stuff. And even though it's new, relatively speaking, new to me, it deserves to be up there. And as a result of my love for the 22 Shots, Moodz, and Horror, and how much they played in terms of my reawakening into horror and ultimately collecting and everything else, I have to say, man, Mario Bava's Black Sunday from 1960, this movie is such an iconic, classic piece of film, man. I don't know what you can. This movie is, I think it's perfect. Of course, Mario's son Lamberto will, in his own right, go on to make some pretty good films. But Mario was a freaking master early on, man. And Black Sunday, I think, is one of his monumental achievements. Did not have to shoot it in black and white. Chose to shoot it in black and white. I'm glad he did, because this is just a spectacular. Barbara Steele, man, such a fantastic film, man. So stinking good. As well as this one coming up in number 15, man. Bring this guy back in. Lucio Fulci, another part of his Gates of Hell trilogy from Grindhouse Cinema, The Beyond. They say this may be his masterpiece. It's hard to argue sometimes, man, in terms of his giallos, Don't Torture a Duckling. This is so steep, man. The atmosphere, man, the score, the work of all those around him. And that's the thing with Fulci, man. He goes from like a period of time from like 79 up to about 82, where he's surrounded by a cast of characters, man. I'm talking your screenwriters, Sacchetti. I'm talking Giannato De Rossi on special effects. Your editor Tomasi, Salvati. I don't care who it is, man. The man was fortunate enough for a small period of time to be literally surrounded by an all-star cast. Help. And The Beyond, man. The Beyond is an absolute genius film. This movie, man. There are scenes in this movie, man, that still make me jump. And the neat tint of the I guess you call it a prologue entranceway into the film. I don't know what all you can say about this without just taking much. I'm already at 13. I see. The Beyond, man. I'm gonna pick up the pace just a little bit. This man, is it Fulci, man. The Gates of Hell trilogy. I'm just gonna say it. I think it's the greatest horror trilogy ever, hands down. At number 14, man, George. Bring George back into the room again. These are the guys that influenced me, man. Dawn of the Dead. This is second sight release of the Blu-ray. This is really basically the Ultimate Edition from Anchor Bay DVD, which I have also. If you see my shelf by shelf, but this is the transfer is a bit better, and it's got all the cuts of the film, man. Whether you want the European cut, which Dario Argento, man, that was part of the agreement, right? Bring George over, let him hammer out the script, let him not worry about a few things like money, and just let him have at it. And as a result of this, man, the gateway to horror cinema was unleashed, at least for a decade and a half or whatever, from Italy. It is, maybe a lot of it is the result not only of earlier filmmakers who were trying to forge a pathway, but man, as producer Dario bringing Romero over to Italy to hammer this thing out and let him go back and make this thing. This, the immediate impact is, of course, Lucio Fulci's Zombie, right? But then the floodgates are open, man, and we just had a incredible decade of Italian horror. I remember seeing this when I was a kid. My dad had it taped off on VHS from, you remember back in the days when we recorded things off on VHS tape from the TV. And I think I remember it was on the same videotape as the 1985 Super Bowl with the Bears and New England Patriots. Go figure. I remember that stuff, man. But the more the social commentary, Savani, the effects, this movie, man, this movie is absolutely, it's deserving of those who will say it is the greatest zombie movie ever. I'm not going to argue. I have my own personal preference, but I'm not going to argue. All right, let's get into another massive classic here from 1974. Tobe Hooper, man. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I saw this, man. I rented this on VHS. Again, on my 25-inch console TV. I'm telling you, the moment that middle door slammed shut, man, for the first time, I was paralyzed with fear, man. This movie gave me nightmares, man. I'm telling you, this is, dude, man, Tobe freaking Hooper. He's a master of horror for just one film and one film alone, and that is this movie. You can become a master of horror with just one film. It's this film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Right, this movie is so stink. I got this for $5 freaking bucks at Walmart. It was on the shelf. The only thing it didn't come with whatever came in here with it, but it came with the 2 discs and whatnot, and some really great extras on there. But this was just a nice pickup one day, man. A nice surprise one day. But this movie, man, I'm telling you, man, every movie from here on out is a heavy hitter, man. And next one is a little bit more preference. This movie's grown on with time, but it is another one I would have rented back in the days, the old VHS days. It is Dario again, and I would argue perhaps his last great film. Of course, we're talking Opera Man, right? This was another wonderful VHS rental, man, back in the day. Dude, this movie, I think, is one of the greatest slashers. If there's a touch of giallo in there, it's not heavy giallo, it's not heavy I think it's, a little bit of both, but man, the opera as a backdrop, I don't know why he ever tried to remake Phantom of the Opera. I think he basically did his homage to that film via this film. This film, man, and I love the end. I don't care what anyone says. I love every moment of this work. And the minute this ever comes out on 4K, I will get it. This may be the 4K restoration transfer, but this is one of those movies I long to have on a beautiful 4K release. God, the needles under the eyes, man, the poster, some of the kills are just so stinking insane, man. The knife, dude, I mean, come on, dude. All right, we got to hurry up, man. I'm going to keep it under 20 if I can. Number 11, man. One of my personal favorites. I saw this on the drive-in when it first ran, and I have loved it as a kid, as an adult, ever since. This is the 4K Studio Canal release of The Fog. John Carpenter, man. I think this is one of one of the most fun movies for me to revisit, rewatch, however you want to phrase it. If I'm in a Carpenter mood, it's generally a Fog mood. I will throw that bad boy in. Studio Canal did a fantastic job on the picture transfer on their 4K release, but also the sound is insane. This movie, man, from the opening sequence, telling of the campfire tale on the beach, to just the fog as its own unique character, the cast of characters. I'm not going to go much more. You guys know this stuff, man. You know the fog. You better know the fog. And I know Scream Factory just putting out 4K. But I already got my Studio Canal. I love it, and I know they do pretty good with their releases. So I'm going to stick with this bad boy. But just to let you know, man. So real quick, man, The Fog at number 11. I love that movie. Opera at number 12. Texas Chainsaw Massacre at number 13. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. Classic stuff. 14. 15. Fulci's The Beyond. At 16. Black Sunday. At 17. Tombs of the Blind Dead. At 18. Devil's Rejects. At 19, The Old Dark House. And at number 20, we started this off with Phenomena, aka Creepers. That hits the 20 mark. We're on to the next segment, the top 10 freaking movies of all freaking time in my life. Peace.